da può capire chi ti va bene. Se tu la parla miezza americano, quando si fa l'amore sotto la luna, come da bene in capo di I love you. Papà l'americano.
Fun song. That's a We No Speak Americano. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back. Last night I participated in the podcast of True Crime Theater 4K. What a fun time. I highly recommend it. Next Tuesday at 9. Check it out. It's really fun. For those of you that were in there, you can vouch for that. The mugshot stuff is hilarious. Yeah, what a fun time that was. Thanks, Pook. Enjoyed it, and I'll be back next Tuesday. Hope to see you there. When I put up my little speech about September 11th, a lot of my subs commented on it, and it was surreal to read everybody's, how they remembered that day and how it affected their life. And I have one of my subs, Trisha. This is a hug for you. I salute you, ma'am. You hold your head up high today and every day. We love you and we thank you. Okay. Do you want to help solve the Delphi murders? Like, really help? It's easy. If you really want to help, this is how you do it, okay? You go to the Indiana State Police website, which I will post a link in the description below. You download the poster, and you post it on your social media accounts, weekly, daily, hourly, every minute if you want. That's how you help. All this other stuff you're seeing, that's not help, okay? The family wants you to help by spreading the poster, okay? That's how you help. And the good people of YouTube, like I said, if you truly want to help, that's how you help. All this other stuff you're seeing about making videos and bringing awareness and all that, yeah, it's But if you want to help, you spread the word. You get that poster out there, and you show it to as many people as you can. And you tell those people to show it to as many people as they can. That's how you help. Okay? Okay. The other day, I had mentioned a story. This was from California. And El Dorado, California, and it was about the murder of Heather Jimena. Heather Jimena. This is from People. Days after finding the apparent remains of a California mom missing for nearly 2 months, authorities allege her husband killed her because she was a witness to a crime, and he wanted to stop her from testifying against him. Authorities did not reveal what alleged crime 33-year-old Heather Jimena had observed, or where or how she was killed, in a document filed in El Dorado County Superior Court and obtained by People. But the 4-page criminal complaint lists multiple felony convictions for the suspect, 44-year-old Anthony Jimena, including those for selling and possessing methamphetamine, and alleges that Heather Jimena was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed to prevent her from testifying in a criminal proceeding, according to the document. Methamphetamine and domestic violence can easily equal murder, okay? Those two things are not a good combination. Hope the family for Miss Jimena gets justice. Sounds like her husband was a real POS. But yeah, if you're dealing meth, you're a bad person. Just saying. I call it like I see it. Okay. This next story is out of this is out of California also. This is a crazy story here. Former Survivor producer Bruce Beresford Redman is a free man. Bruce is currently home in Southern California after being released from prison 2 months ago. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison for the 2010 slaying of his wife, Monica Burjo Beresford Redman. That's a lot of names. But was released after serving 7.5 years. Bruce's attorney, Richard G. Hirsch, did not immediately respond to people's request for a comment. Bruce was convicted of murdering his wife in 2015 after being extradited to Mexico in 2012. The couple had been on vacation in Cancun, Mexico when Monica disappeared after a shopping trip. Her lifeless body was eventually found in the sewer of the Moon Palace Resort, where the family was staying. An autopsy found Monica died from asphyxia by suffocation and that she had bruising on her face and a head wound. Following her death, suspicion immediately fell on the producer, her husband. Mexican authorities said Bruce hit his wife in the head with a metal tube, bar, or bat, and then choked her to death before dumping her body in a hotel sewer. On the morning of April 5th, 2 teenagers staying in the room below Bruce and his family were awakened around 6 a.m. by screams, crying for help, and extremely loud banging from the room above theirs. It sounded like a woman in extreme distress, according to the complaint filed in the U.S. court on behalf of the Mexican government. Bruce later told hotel staff that the noises were from a fight they were having about the behavior of their children. He then told investigators that the screams were from a game that they were playing with their 3-year-old son, according to the complaint. Throughout the investigation, Bruce maintained his innocence. Everyone seems to have decided that I killed my wife, he told 48 Hours Mystery in 2012. I didn't kill my wife. I really didn't. However, Monica's sister told the show that they believed their brother-in-law murdered their sibling. The pair had reportedly been having marital problems prior to her death, and Monica was upset that Bruce was having an affair. Bruce also produced Pimp My Ride the restaurant. Monica owned Zambuba Bar and Restaurant in Venice, California. Only 7.5 years? It wasn't a Mexican prison, and I can't imagine that's nice, but to be honest with you, I almost wonder if this guy, being a producer of television shows, had enough money to grease the right person's palm to get a light sentence and get out of there a little early. Hate to think the worst, but, this next story is for Fox News. This is out of Texas. They executed another inmate. Texas executes inmate in 2010 murder of elderly woman during a crime spree. A Texas man was executed Tuesday evening for killing 61-year-old grandmother a decade ago during an 8-day crime spree. Mark Anthony Solis died by lethal injection at the state penitentiary in Huntsville. He was the 6th inmate executed in Texas this year. 9 more are scheduled. The Huntsville Item reported that he used his last words to address the family members of the victim. I want to apologize for the grief and the pain that I have caused y'all. I've been considering changing my life. It took me 27 years to do so. Man, I want to apologize. I don't know if me passing will bring y'all comfort for the pain and suffering I've caused y'all. I'm at peace, he said. Oh man, I didn't know if y'all would come or not, but I'm glad y'all did so I could talk to y'all. I know the pain when I talk to my grandma. I'm just glad I got a chance to talk to y'all. Well, y'all, he's no longer with y'all. Solis was convicted in the June 2010 killing of Nancy Weatherly in her home in Godley, in Godfrey, I'm sorry. Appeals to stop the execution were turned down at the state and federal levels. The most recent denial came Monday from the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. I have represented Mr. Solis for many years. Every legal tool in my kit was deployed to prevent this execution. The hope endures, the fight goes on, and the case never dies. The cause never dies, says Seth Kretzer, one of Solis' appellate attorneys, said in a statement. At his 2012 trial, prosecutors said Solis and another man, Jose Ramos, committed 13 crimes over the course of just 8 days in 2010. They fatally shot Ruben Martinez, a delivery man, on June 29, 2010, and drove to Weatherly's home in a stolen car. The duo ransacked the home and shot her in the back of the head after she pleaded with them to leave her dead mother's jewelry box and spare her life, according to authorities. A friend of Solis testified that he bragged about killing and made fun of Weatherly's country accent. Y'all. He eventually confessed to the killing. Ballistic and fingerprint evidence also tied him to the crime, police say. Ramos, his accomplice, was sentenced to life in prison for the deaths of Weatherly and Martinez. Solis' lawyers argued at the trial that he suffered from brain damage stemming from fetal alcohol spectrum disorder because his mom drank while pregnant. His attorney said the disorder is the functional equivalent of conditions already recognized by the U.S. Supreme Court as disqualifying exemptions to the death penalty, such as intellectual disability. Really? So, here, okay, you know that if you put your hand in a pot of boiling water, it's going to burn you, right? You know that. So you think of murder the same way in Texas, because you know in Texas, they don't mess around. They will fry your ass, or now lethal injection, quickly. I mean, just a decade later, this guy received lethal injection. So to think that he wasn't able to comprehend his what he had done could result in the death penalty, that he was like too intellectually disabled. But he was intellectually able enough to rob people for 8 days straight and kill an old lady by shooting her in the back of the head. He even says during his before his execution that he was trying to turn his life around. It just took him 27 years to do so. So he was quite capable of turning his life around much sooner than he actually did. I will give him this. At least he went out with some dignity, and I guess that's the only credit that I will give that gentleman. Are you ready for your happy ending? Are you? Okay. For the past 5 decades, kids have idolized and dreamed of being as brave as Luke Skywalker. My 4-year-old thinks he's just the coolest guy in the world, just as his dad did some 30 years ago. And when we visited Walt Disney World last Christmas, my kids scoured the park searching for any Star Wars character they could find. But the chance to meet Luke was the ultimate prize. As it turns out, Mark Hamill, who's famously played Luke Skywalker since the franchise began, embodies the kindness and heart of his character, Luke. And he certainly showed it when he met one of his #1 fans in person. 8 years ago, 17-year-old John Sikora was terminally ill, but still bravely battling juvenile Batten's disease. His parents reached out to screenwriter Ed Solomon to see if their son's dying wish could be granted. His dream? To meet Luke Skywalker. It's a story that would have been lost to time, only remembered by the few who were so close to Sikora at the time, had Solomon not shared the touching story in a now viral Twitter thread on December 4th. In it, Solomon details how he reached out to Mark Hamill's agent and explained that the child desperately wanted to meet Luke, as in the real Luke from the movies. Afterwards, he says he hoped for the best, but what happened next was nothing short of magical. The agent begrudgingly said he'd call Mark, Solomon explains in the thread, but also said not to get my hopes up. 90 seconds later, I got a call back from Mark Hamill himself, who immediately said yes and gave me his home address. That's right, Mark Hamill himself called Ed Solomon 90 seconds later and said yes. He didn't even hesitate about the decision. You know, like the true Jedi that he is. He only met with the boy He not only met with the boy, but spent hours answering questions after question, sometimes the same ones repeatedly, as Luke, Solomon shared. Even posting this now makes me teary. He was compassionate, kind, and patient, and literally meant the world to this kid and his family. Mark Hamill, good for you, sir. Good for you. I'm a Star Wars fan. I love the first 6. Disney has ruined Star Wars in my opinion, but I still love Luke Skywalker. I do. Well, that's about all I have for you. I'm the uber, super duper, YouTuber, the true crime avenger, Hoosier the Bruiser. Until next time, have a good night.